Off the Ball podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. And today's show got a lot of news to break. Steve Nash gone, new head coach already. A lot of stuff to break down on the latest Off the Ball podcast. Got a big show. So after this intro, we're gonna dive into everything. Let's go.
Let's go!
So let's get right into the welcome to another episode of the Wall Podcast with me, your host, Chris LeBron. The show is brought to you by SeatGeek. SeatGeek, the newest partner of the Off the Ball Network. You make sure first-time users go to SeatGeek.com. Use promo code Off the Ball Network. Let's get right into it. Not sugarcoat anything. We got some bigness. You know what? Before I get into that, I got someone to join me. And this ain't gonna be an attack on Nets. You know, I got a fellow Knicks family. We ain't gonna attack him, but we're gonna discuss what's going on. I got my guy Edgar. Edgar, what's good, bro?
Yo, can you hear me?
I hear you.
You sound a matrix. I don't know if it's from.
You sound a little echoey.
Yeah, let me come back because it sounds.
All good. We'll get you back on.
All
But
right.
let's get right into the news. Obviously, the big news of the day. This Nets head coach Steve Nash is out after a 2-5 start. He is out as the head coach, and rumors quickly surfaced that Ime Udoka would be in line to be the next head coach, and it's kind of wild to even think that because obviously everything going on with Udoka and his situation, and it kind of felt like, oh no, that can't be real. Ime Udoka gonna get a job? I mean, he's still technically employed by the Boston Celtics, but things move real quick. I mean, quicker than we. So let's get Edgar back here because I really want to get his thoughts. Edgar, you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I think it was car. I'm gonna break real quick. So.
Okay, yeah, and I hear you good now. So all right, let's get right into it, bro. Like Nash gets fired, and we kind of saw that coming, right? It was just a lot of turmoil happening in Brooklyn, but I did not expect them to quickly turn around and hire a new head coach, and a head coach that we know is suspended for the year with a different team in Boston. And the Nets kind of just said, nah, we're not going to do our due diligence. We're going to hire him because we feel like he's the best candidate. And I want people to get this straight. This isn't a Nets bashing. This is strictly basketball. We're not looking at it from a Knicks perspective. We're just looking at it as a basketball perspective. To me, this is bad. I just think this is absolutely, especially with everything going on with the Nets, with all the issues with the offseason, right? Then going into the season, they didn't want Steve Nash there. You know, Sean Marks, they don't want there. The KD stuff, the trade, and the Kyrie stuff that continues to happen, and especially with the recent things that he posted. The last thing they need is more distractions, Edgar. That's the last thing they need. It's not a matter of Udoka can't be it. Udoka is one of the best coaches in the league. We know that, right? That's a fact. One of the best coaches in the league.
Right.
But when you need good PR, this is not the way to go, especially so quick.
It's like
It's not like you wait
Yeah,
to the
you're,
off
co- you're
season and maybe they went so quick with it. I don't know, man.
yeah. I mean, he's not officially hired yet. They're just inquiring, I guess.
No, it's official. He's the head coach. He's the head coach.
Oh,
I'll double check, but you know what? Yep, the
okay,
Brooklyn Nets have hired Ime Udoka. Yep, it's official.
okay.
Shams reported it, and so it went from being Shams just saying he's emerged as the front runner, which is crazy, and then 20 minutes later, Shams reported that the Brooklyn Nets have hired Ime Udoka to be their next head coach. The Boston Celtics granted permission to speak with Udoka, and will allow him to leave. So that ruined that ends any speculation of him coming back to Boston, and he's the new head. Now I don't obviously can't coach this year, so he's probably going to be. So Jock Vaughn's right now the current
The
interim
interim head
coach,
coach.
so he probably gets to coach the team for the rest of the year, I'm assuming, and then Udoka takes over next season. That's what I'm assuming is going to happen.
I think you hit it on the head there. To me, you're already dealing with a bunch of drama, right? You have the Ben Simmons stuff. Now you have certain net fans saying like, well, did he pick up a phantom knee injury? There's been some rumblings here and there. I was in a couple of spaces where like Nets fans were saying that drama. You had the KD drama in the summer. You have the one with the tweet or Instagram post, whatever that was, which is pretty wild to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then you want to compound that drama of losing games, not starting off the season well. You want to compound all that drama of hiring a coach like Ime Udoka, who Celtics, given the situation that he's been in, PR from the Nets, I think honestly they're not being for me for that. There was a whole situation where like you basically got the VP of the team you were coaching at the time with the win at the time, and now you just outright hire the dude. I think of is that they said, well, he worked for us. That's him. We know his character, so we don't really have to do our due diligence. What people say we should, because again, he's worked for us before, and we know what. But I still don't think that's a good move, no. Because of all this stuff that's happened in the summer. I just thought it'd be a complete slap in the face if they let him coach anytime. Feel more like, okay, you did what you did, and we suspended you for a month, 2 months, and now you get to come back right away. To me, enough time to sit there and truly reflect what he did.
Yeah.
To me, it'll be silly to just let him come back and coach this. He should be coaching this season. Now,
yeah.
If you're talking about a year from now, a year and a half or so, then I don't want to completely bury the guy, because if he generally does learn from his mistakes, becomes a better person from something like that, then okay, fine. It's understandable. But to me, there's a month, 2 months, 3 months. It's not enough time for him to sit down and reflect and truly what he did.
Yeah,
to be honest, I don't think he should be coaching anytime soon.
Yeah, I definitely thought this year is, he should definitely. And I don't know if he's allowed to coach. Right? I think that's some of the information we're probably going to get, trickled in. And
it's a very touchy subject. It's a very touchy subject. Like in line, really, what I mean? Like there's people that don't want to see him coaching at all again. There's people that think he deserves a second chance to learn from his. It's a very, very very fine line with what
Yeah.
keeps just a very touchy situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and listen, I definitely think he deserves another chance, to be a coach and all that. I think maybe this year he probably should have sat out and all that. And like I said, we don't know if he's, I don't know if the suspension trickles down to now him being in Brooklyn. So I don't know how that's going to work and all that. But like I mentioned before, Edgar, like it's just a bad look. I just think personally, like it's just a bad look for a team that they're desperate for some positivity in that organization right now. And I don't know. It's just really crazy what's going on. Obviously not playing good basketball and then everything else going on. It also makes me think, why didn't you just fire Nash in the offseason? Like I know the Ime Udoka stuff happened not too long ago, and if a coach of that caliber wasn't available, maybe but he was a dead man walking. So why not cut bait before? I just think they had this set up. Fire a coach 7 games in, you kind of had a feeling you kind of had a feeling in the back of your head that you were possibly going to do this if you had gone to a slow start. Slow start happens, you fire him. So I always wonder why teams don't cut bait with coaches, especially 7 games in, and especially when we heard the whispers of him being ones, KD and company, wanting him gone. So like, and then
He
Nash
should have
too.
been let go.
Nash too.
He should have been let go. I mean, there's a quote, somebody mentioned it earlier today. I forgot where I saw. Even last season during a game, Goran Dragic, I think that the Nets had, if I'm not mistaken, and they asked Goran Dragic a question. Hey, like, how do you right the ship? What are you guys doing out there? What could you be doing better? Basically, he said, like, hey, we're just out there playing basketball. Like spots. They don't know the rotations. They don't know what plays now. So it's basically kind of basically felt like, we're just vibing, going out there playing ball. Like we're not being coached. So one of your vet players at the time to throw you under the bus like that, that's a pretty big sign to, what type of coach you go back to that. You go back to, the Kyrie comments like, hey, we don't really view him as like a head guy. What was it, like a friend or something like that? Or
yeah, it was something to that. In his preseason interviews, he was saying a lot of that, like they don't have a real head coach, something to that. Something to that. It was.
Yeah, and like you were saying, when you read all of that, it makes you think, like you just said, why keep the guy past the summer? It just didn't make sense. It didn't add up at all. Like you hiring a new coach and having that new coach implement a new system or start to build the chemistry with the players on the team a lot than now. It's just, I don't know. To me, our poorly ran team altogether, and this is, I'm not saying this with any spitefulness or anything. I just don't think they're very well ran at the moment. Altogether.
No, they definitely have not been ran well at all. And I think even Nets fans will tell you, like, this is not what we signed up for. When you got KD and Kyrie a few years back, this is supposed to be, the crown jewel. You were supposed to be in contention for championships, and they haven't made it past the second round since acquiring those two, and it's kind of been a massive disappointment. I think that's very fair to say that this KD Kyrie tenure has been a massive flop, and one of the biggest flops we've ever seen in NBA history. Especially when you're talking about two guys of their caliber, to get very little results, in their tenure. I don't know what Brooklyn needs to do. Obviously, there's some people who have said maybe they should just blow it up, but obviously you get Ime Udoka, you're not expected to blow it. Now, what happens with Kyrie since he's in the last year of his deal, I don't know. I don't know if they can. I don't think any team will try to touch Kyrie right now. I think he's really hurt any value. We thought maybe he comes in comes in clean and maybe they could trade him at the deadline or something. I don't think his value is worth squat. So you're kind of stuck with him, and
it's always something with this guy. It's every season now. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna come in with a focus on basketball and be ready to help this team win a championship, and he's just derails it. It's always something with him. It can just never be a quiet, and I say like, oh, shut up and dribble and just play basketball. But like,
yeah,
like, come on, man, like.
Well, yeah.
You on the phone?
Oh no, I'm doing the show.
Oh, I'm sorry.
All good, no worries.
No, but like, it's just like all these things, like they up for him, they continue to add up for the Nets, and you're just like, man, like, when are we gonna get what we promised? What was promised to us, right? Like, great bad championship. To me personally, if the Nets don't end up winning a championship, and they dissolve and these guys leave, they go their own ways. One of the biggest flops in sports history, to be honest, because you've had a big three. First, you had a big two, then you had a big three with James Harden, and now you have a semi-big three, I guess, because that's what they were top KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons, and you're just on any front.
No, it's definitely disappointing, and Ben Simmons is out. I think he's out tonight, right? I think
he's out for questionable.
Yeah, play Toronto, right? I think they play Toronto.
Yeah.
So he's out,
and Toronto's good. So
yeah, so they can drop to 2-6, and this season, I know in my preseason predictions I had them, I think 5th or 6th. And exactly for these I just don't trust. Like, they can be the best team in the East, or they can be the 8th seed and go nowhere like they did last year. Like, that's their range. And I think most people were worried about chemistry and all the BS. And guess what's happening? Chemistry issues, BS. Now they don't play good. They don't play defense at all. They have the worst defensive efficiency of the NBA, dead last. They can have a good rebounding team. I think they're 20 in the bottom 2 in rebounding. So there's a lot more, just not just off the court stuff. It's on the basketball court too. They have a lot of deficiencies. They don't guard no one. They don't guard anyone. So there was more than just off the court stuff. It was on the court too. And you thought Ben Simmons would fix that because he's, an all NBA type of player, almost won defensive player of the year a few years back, and even his defense when he's played hasn't been the defense you expected. So this is just it's a big mess. It's a big mess right now.
I'll cut Ben Simmons a little bit popular thing to do with him, because a lot of people just despise this man for certain reasons, but I'll cut him a little bit of slack because he hasn't in 2 years. And to come back, into the situation that he's in with the Nets right now, it's absolutely not. You come back and play from such a long layoff and think that you're it just doesn't happen. I mean, I had, during COVID, I didn't play basketball, and mind you, I'm just a regular guy, right? Who loves to play ball, and it's like I kind of forgot how to play. You know what I mean? Like, I was trying to find myself. Imagine imagine a pro like Ben Simmons playing with like the best players in the world and against the best players. It's gonna take some time for him to figure things out and hopefully get himself going again. So one guy who deserves a little bit of slack.
Yeah, and he did have a legit back injury too. Like, I think a lot of people didn't, wondered why he wasn't playing last year, but he had a legit back injury, had surgery and all that. So it's going to take time to get acclimated, but definitely a not the most ideal situation to try to get acclimated with everything going on. And he's an interesting player because of his skill set. And then you add that with Kyrie and KD, try to fit those three. So it's definitely a tough situation for him. And like you said, everyone's on him heavy. Anything he does, it gets gets a lot of attention. But that's been the problem with this team, is that everything other than on the court has been the focal point of this team, and that's something they need to fix, because this is a headache. And you could see Steve Nash just not looking the same. Like, and you heard a lot of reports saying he just every day he didn't look right. he just looked stressed because every day was something new, and that's not how you want to, especially for a first time coach. I mean, just think about if you're Steve Nash, because you hear people saying, well, he probably shouldn't have been the coach, and that could be correct. But if I tell you get to coach Kyrie, forget about off the court stuff. Just if I tell you get to coach Kyrie and KD, and then we bring James Harden into the fold, I mean, who wouldn't take that? If you're not an experienced coach, you're taking that job, right? It's just common sense. You're going to take that gig. But who knew everything else would transcribe and make it to where it is, and now he's out of a job.
Right.
It's.
I mean, yeah. To absolutely looked at the talent on paper. I mean, who the hell doesn't want to coach Kyrie, KD, and even Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons? You know what I mean? Like, on paper, great names to have. Like, the talent is immaculate. Like Kyrie, he's one of my favorite players to watch in terms of basketball, because he's right. He controls the ball. It's like the ball's on the string. He scores in so many different. But like, it's just the off the court stuff. Just and if this team was just devoid of drama, they'd be. I mean, given the on court issues with the defense, and if they were devoid of drama, they'd just be fun to watch altogether.
They really would. They really would, because I like you mentioned, regardless of what team you root for and all that, watching Kyrie and KD play basketball as individuals is very fun. They are two of the most talented players in the league, and before they went to Brooklyn, they were probably two of my favorite basketball players, and it's just been really tough. And I always look at with KD too, like I view him as a legacy player. Like, we care about what his legacy will. Kyrie, unfortunately, I don't think he was ever, even without the off court stuff, I don't think he's a legacy. I don't think people are going to care like about his resume per se. But like for Kevin Durant's chasing being one of the greatest players of all time.
Right.
Like he could be a top 5 player of all time. And I feel like he's hurting it in a sense these last few years, like with everything going on. Like it just, I sometimes I wish with KD he would take more control. Like we get on LeBron for taking control, but this is what LeBron wouldn't let happen. I don't think LeBron would let to this extent. Like whatever's going on with the Lakers is on the court. That's roster construction more than off the court. Then he's not letting off the court issues happen. Where KD is, it feels like, are you cool with all this? Like, but like I feel like with KD, you need to take this, like, yo, you're not going to be messing up my legacy, because it hurts KD's legacy. People are forgetting how this guy's averaging like 33 a game. Like, he's balling, but nobody cares because everything going on with his teammates. And I feel like you got to grab it because you're not going to mess up my reputation because of what you're saying on social media and what Ben Simmons is. He's not playing. Like, I don't need those players to take away from what's the bigger picture, and which is to win a championship. And that looks like it's like just a few, like last year they were the favorites, and now we're talking about them. They might not even, like, they could be toast. Like, the season might be done for them. Like, they might be an 8 seed at best at this point, the way they're looking.
Yeah,
Again.
And you brought up a great point right there with the KD. To me, and I've said this before, to me, a guy like LeBron credit, because if you look at it, the only guy who's, I guess, keep Kyrie in check long enough has been LeBron James.
Mm-hmm.
Like when Kyrie was in Cleveland, when they won, he was very focused on basketball and playing games. There wasn't like tweets about stuff and liking, going on Instagram live and doing a bunch of this extra stuff. He was focused on playing basketball, winning, and what happened?
Mm-hmm.
They did right with LeBron.
Yep.
He leaves, and then it's like the train, derailed. And so, maybe I hope Katie doesn't see this because Katie likes to get on people, but Katie is just not that type of leader to rally the true credit. He tried, I guess he tried to do that in Brooklyn, and it just hasn't worked out.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could be right. He just might not be that guy, but I just feel like when you're on that level, when your people are, and I understand he probably doesn't care what people think and all that, but I'm just saying, if I was in his shoes, and I know that people are going to judge me, and all that, like I try to take more control of the situation because he has the control, he has power, but that also shows, for Brooklyn, that when you let this happen, and they let this happen, let's be real, they let the situation happen. Sean Marks, at one point, people were talking about Sean Marks being one of the best executives in basketball. The fact that he pulled off the D'Angelo Russell move to be able to land KD and Kyrie, and now it's looking like he gave up too much of, he just let them have too much power and too much say. Made them look at the trading Jared Allen, the whole James Harden trade. Jared Allen, at people at first was like, we're just, it doesn't really matter. We can fill that role. It's showing that that losing Jared Allen might have been the biggest, most underrated thing of this whole everything going on with Brooklyn, because what do they need desperately in Brooklyn? An interior presence, rebound, guy who can rebound. What does Jared Allen do best? He was an all-star last year.
Yeah, I mean, they banked in on. They try to bank in on Nick Klein. We got this young guy.
Hasn't worked out.
Yeah, it was very.
He's solid though. He's solid off the bench as an off-the-bench player. Nick Claxton I think that's his role. But as a starting center, going against some of the big guys, he's showing that he's not that guy for them, and which they desperately need.
Right, being the main man in the paint, and just that could have gave them a. It's just again another failed. And those are the type of things that you don't really recover from right away. It's gonna take a long time for them to, I guess, find another big man like eject them out. But the issue is that they need that big man right now at the moment.
Yeah, and that's not happening anytime soon. And how do they recover from this? We talked about that in the offseason. Like, how do the Nets recover from the offseason? Now we got more issues in the season. New coach now, and that's going to be even a bigger thing when Udoka, whenever he's available to coach. And because that's what now all you're going to hear is about the suspension and what happened and all that. I just think it just creates more distractions that you need. And Even in our chat, I was like, they need to hire someone who's squeaky clean. Has nothing, nothing, no, nothing. Not even a traffic ticket. Not even any type of anything. Squeaky clean. So you have nothing coming into organization that they have to worry about, and they did the opposite of that. So it's going to be interesting to see um, how the Udoka. I think he's apparently they're saying it's going to be finalized within the next day or two that he'll be the next head coach of Brooklyn. So yeah, a lot of things transpiring in Brooklyn. They did win their last game, so they ended their skid. But 2-5 start, tough times in Brooklyn. Tough times in Brooklyn. We'll see but I appreciate you hopping on, brother.
Yeah, no problem, Chris. We'll see how they bounce back. I guess tonight, Jack Vaughn should be taking over, and let's see what he does.
Yeah, we'll see how Jock does and all that. But we'll see what Brooklyn does. The interesting times in Brooklyn, and like I said, we're not here to shade Brooklyn and all that,
sure.
but we'll definitely be on again. I'm definitely on. We'll talk the Knicks, of course, because we got our own little issues going on, and so hopefully we can figure that out. But I'll hit you up and we'll figure out something and we'll talk some Knicks, for sure.
Perfect. All right, Chris. Thank you for having me on.
No problem, bro. All right, guys.
Take care.
That's it for all the Nets talk. Udoka will be finalized in the next few days as the new coach of the Nets. Nash is out. See how Brooklyn does tonight. Crazy times in Brooklyn. But on that note,